What problem is often overlooked in apocalyptic movies/TV shows that could kill you? Diarrhea. So many things can cause it, and it used to be, well, still is in the least developed countries, quite lethal, mostly for babies and children. I have minor IBS, so I poop when I'm stressed. I'm a goner. They never talk about optometry. What am I going to do if my glasses break in the apocalypse? I'm fucked. I can't see shit without these. They won't last me forever. I feel like Stephen King addressed this a bit in the expanded version of The Stand. People who survive the plague, like 0.001% of the people on Earth, but manage to die because of an infection, or suicide, or getting too drunk and falling into the pool. I think it would be the little, random things that might be cause for an ER/urgent care visit currently, but could turn potentially deadly very quickly. As bad as the show Revolution's overall plotting and pacing was, they generally did a good job of thinking about these kinds of little inconsistencies. There's a minor character who was a doomsday prepper before the apocalypse, but he didn't stock up enough on antibiotics. As a result, his daughter died of tetanus that he was unable to treat. A warlord kidnaps prisoners for blood because his wife has diabetes and needs constant transfusions of blood with sufficient insulin in it to survive. There's a doctor who keeps a collection of moldy fruit to harvest penicillium mold from it and make penicillin. Some characters try to go into an old subway tunnel, but nearly die because of lack of sufficient airflow down there without modern HVAC systems. I really like the subway tunnel one, never thought of that. Clean drinking water. I don't think people really appreciate how much water is needed for a group of people to survive. Clean bullet holes. Next episode, everyone is A-OK half the time, and off to murder more zombies before cannibalizing the next group. Your shirt alone would be filthy enough to cause mild chafing, which in turn would cause infection. But everyone's whites are whiter than mine, and bullet holes and axe wounds heal up just fine with our state-of-the-art medical facility and dry cleaning services. Snoring, 100%. I think about this all the time. Anyone who snores after the zombies come must be exiled. But most will die quickly. Minor injuries, lack of hygiene. Infection. Even though it was riddled with problems to focus on, when Game of Thrones was happening I remember being really bothered by the scene where Arya Stark gets stabbed about 10 times in the gut and falls into a river. Not only did they downplay the mortal wounds to her abdomen, the subsequent infection would have destroyed her. Natural disasters. You'd have no fucking clue if a hurricane, flash flood, typhoon, monsoon, or other Sharknado events were coming. I didn't even know what to do when my fridge broke. I just moved. There is a distinct lack of worry about clean water. Also, in almost every conflict in history, disease has killed more people than the actual war. You rarely see a flu wipe out half of the people in a zombie movie, but honestly, it would. The Walking Dead actually had a whole part about them all getting sick with Spanish flu, I think. Everyone always seems to know where to go. If it were me, I'd die because I can't find my way back to base or something. I always assumed directionally challenged people like me already died. Typhus or cholera. These two diseases can run roughshod over a population group in days. Also rampant mosquito overpopulation because nobody is spaying to keep them in check. More people die from mosquitoes each year than anything else. There is a laundry list of all the diseases mosquitoes can transmit. Everyone with a major health issue, if they survive the apocalyptic start, they won't see the finish. Take me for instance, I'm a transplant patient, kidney transplant. Without meds I would be dead within 3 to 5 days due to massive infection. Same with diabetics not having insulin, asthmatics not having inhalers, and other kind of disease and genetic issues. I don't know if it could kill you, but the stench of death is horrendous and not an insignificant thing. In any disaster situation where someone has died and it starts becoming days long, things would be getting nasty. Over time people would get used to how foul everything would smell, but for a while it would be terrible. I always think of trash. Like, any bins with a garbage in it is gonna get real rank. People's homes too. 99% of Americans have a trash can in their kitchen with food waste in it. They show the characters scavenging in home but no commentary on the sludge-filled fridge or trash can not 3 feet away? Or the general smell of dead folks and trash sludge while running around outside? Having just sprained an ankle, I'm guessing sprained ankles. I broke my shoulder a couple of years ago, 8 weeks of keeping it immobile, which would maybe be doable in an APOC if I was with a large enough group of people, but 12 weeks of PT. PT said in the past it would just become almost a lame limb. Lack of dental care. A dental infection can take you out right quick. And without treatment that hurts. And mouth infections can very easily spread to the heart, at which point that hurts very quickly become GRRRKKK. Dead. My parents did not believe in preventive dental care when I was growing up. Their policy was repairs are temporary, pull the problem tooth. As a result, I am down 5 or 6 teeth that probably could have been saved, and the rest are a hot mess that will cost me tens of thousands to fix. I can distinctly remember several occasions in which my teeth became infected, and let me be the first to tell you folks, I would have eaten a bullet if that option had been available to me. It was some of the worst pain I have ever experienced. I could feel the infection spreading from my jaw outward, or at least imagined I could. Without antibiotics. I legitimately believe one of those infections could have been the end of me. They are no joke. Footwear. Wrong footwear, damaged footwear, lack of socks, wet feet, open wounds. Once your feet are screwed, so is the rest of you. I agree, but seriously, you could hit any strip mall and find 5,000 pairs of shoes in your size. Multiply that times all the strip malls and stores and you'll be fine on footwear. Ugly? Maybe, but fine. I'd say clean socks and underwear would be 100x the problem that footwear would be. Make sure you clean and dry at least weekly. Gasoline has a shorter shelf life than is portrayed in these movies/TV shows, so after a year nobody would really be driving anywhere. It wouldn't necessarily kill you, but it's one of those things that bothers me because it's never really addressed. Mad Max addressed this and made it a plot device. Dust from destroyed buildings. Just watch the 2 latest Godzilla movies, and aside from all the other things that could have killed folks, staring at monsters that are destroying buildings and kicking up all sorts of dust and other air debris, while staring open-mouthed, is a great way to get lung damage/encounter breathing issues. Childbirth. Already one of the most dangerous things a person can do, carrying a child to full term and giving birth without proper medical care for either the mother or the baby. Well, all you gotta do is look at your history books. Or your average developing country, most of which still have better medical care than you're getting in The Walking Dead. And now the mother has to push her insides back in and run from some zombies? Done for. This was my issue with the movie A Quiet Place. It's one thing to have to survive an apocalypse, but to do so against an enemy that detects by hearing, and decide to have a baby in the middle of that. How you gonna keep him or her quiet? Completely disregarding the birth itself, assuming the proper drugs are available? Suicide. The apocalypse isn't going to be a bunch of badass people with knives and mohawks, it's going to suck a lot. Suddenly people are thrust into the elements with no skills, various medical conditions, the environment will be rough, there's no creature comforts, and they'll have to depend on small pockets of other people for help. Yep. An apocalyptic event happens, I'm screwed. I have various medical conditions that require daily meds, plus I'm not a fighter. I hunker down, smoke all my pot and eat all my snacks, then kill myself. Fresh, clean water. While it might look clear, most streams in the US have nasty chemicals in them or else full of bacteria that we're not used to drinking. If you don't purify it, and that requires more than just boiling or running through a Brita filter, you will likely get sick. That right there might kill you. America runs on a system of resupply where most things are stocked daily or weekly. We don't have warehouses full of spare parts or cans of food just waiting. If you miss out on the initial scrabble for food and equipment, you might be fucked forever. Getting a hardware store and all the tools and spare parts inside would be a godsend, as 90% of that is manufactured only as needed. So supply will dry up soon. Same goes for things like ammunition, medicine, and all preserved foods. Once the supply in shops and stores are gone, there won't be any more just lying out there. Not to mention that often has expiration dates, and if it sits too long can rot, become poison, or explode. Hey, even cans of food might explode if left to rot long enough. Had an old can of pineapples detonate in my cupboard a few years back. Never did get the smell out. As for food, better learn how to forage, farm, and hunt, as most farms now use proprietary seeds that will not produce viable seeds for the next crop. That way farmers keep buying seeds each year. So even if you found an empty farmer's field, unless you can find viable seeds, next year you won't have shite. Same goes for fruit trees, you can't just spit out seeds and expect to have plants next year. Agriculture is a lot harder, especially in large enough quantities to feed groups, than the backyard vegetable garden. I don't know how this hasn't been mentioned yet, but it's common sense that is almost always overlooked in movies and TV. Humans are way more physically fragile and squishy than you might think. Based on John McClane and other invincible action heroes, who take damage and do things that would break or catastrophically cripple a normal person, movies are a poor source of information for deciding what to do and what could happen to your body, should you somehow falsely think you're the main protagonist of an apocalypse movie. Indoor firefight without hearing protection? You're probably deaf now. Jumping off a building to catch a wire? Kiss your fingers and/or lower extremities goodbye, assuming you land on your feet. Taking a beer bottle to the head? That's probably a concussion. Movies have made us think we're a lot more durable than we really are. I don't know how this hasn't been mentioned yet, but it's common sense that is almost always overlooked in movies and TV. Humans are way more physically fragile and squishy than you might think. Dogs. We hardly ever see packs of dogs roaming around on these shows, but it's very possible. You could have feral packs running around competing with humans for food. Pests. Vermin. Parasites. Mold. Plant overgrowth. We let our garden run wild for a couple of months and plants have invaded several areas. In an apocalypse it would get much worse. Might not kill you, but it could be a real nuisance. Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler has packs of feral dogs that terrorize the remaining population, to the point that the young protagonist doesn't realize that they can be domesticated. Thanks for watching.